On today's show, De'Aaron Fox signs a max extension with the Spurs. Is he worth it? I'm not fully convinced, but I think the Spurs are going to be really good. Let's talk about that and more. Locked on NBA Game Night.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
And welcome. You're Locked On NBA Game Night. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being in every day or making Locked On NBA your first listen. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code Locked On NBA for 50% off your first year. And joining me from the great Locked On Knicks show, what you got for me, Gavin Schall? What'd you see in the NBA tonight?
Oh, well, no games on. I noticed that we're matching, which we didn't plan, and we're wearing Spurs colors. So I would say appropriate attire, given what we're going to talk about today.
Dressing for the occasion. If only we could be dressed as well as De'Aaron Fox is going to be dressed after his extension. We'll talk about him and Wemby as a duo. Where does that duo rank in the West? Is Fox a top 10 guard? Is he a top 10 point guard? We'll talk about that. We'll break down if he's worthy of the max extension. Then, of course, we'll play Count It Up. We're count the most interesting, fun things in the NBA, including Tyrese Haliburton and his heel turn towards the New York Knicks and more of that. So we'll get into all that. Well, let's start here. De'Aaron Fox does sign his extension. It is a 4-year, $229 million maximum extension, according to Clutch Sports. CEO Rich Paul told ESPN. They have to specify the agent forever now. I don't think that will ever end. He'll get paid $51 million starting in the 2026-27 season. So next season, the season coming up, the extension does not kick in yet, but he doesn't have a player option in the deal. It goes 4 years. And let's hear from our guy, Jeff Garcia, on this deal. And if Fox is worth a deal like this.
This sends a signal, I should say, to Wemby, more importantly, and to Fox too, that they're willing to do whatever it takes to keep these players around. It's a signal to Wemby that, look, we're giving you an all-star point guard, someone to build around, and also sends a signal to the rest of the league that San Antonio could be a destination team with Fox and Wemby at the helm. Moving forward, as Fox is turned in, again, to push you forward, you might ask yourself, well, did he deserve one? Did he deserve a max deal? There were some critics saying that maybe he doesn't. But overall, I believe he does. First of all, since entering the league till now, outside of last season because he was injured with the finger, he showed a consistent level of high production on the offensive end. He's obviously an all-star caliber player, so there's that check. Second of all, even though he did not play as many games he did for the Spurs last season, still averaged 19.7 points per game, 6.8 points assists per game, and 4.3 rebounds. Again, that was with a bum finger. So imagine him coming back 100%. Actually pretty good.
Is De'Aaron Fox worth the max extension, Gavin? Do you agree with our guy, Jeff Garcia, here?
Probably not in a vacuum. I think in the context of what the Spurs have going on, I would say so. I mean, Jeff makes the point. San Antonio, despite their success and arguably being the best franchise in the sport over the last 2.5 decades, has not really been a free agency destination. LaMarcus Aldridge is really
disagree.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say he's really the only example of a star choosing to go there, unless I'm just blanking someone out. But I think given that, and the fact that they probably made a promise to De'Aaron Fox, I would guess even before that trade went down, and that's why he was like, nope, San Antonio, nowhere else. I'm going to San Antonio. And it would be a bad look in terms of the relationship with Fox, would be a bad look in terms of the relationship with Rich Paul to renege on that. And there's just like, I don't necessarily know what else they would do with it. Like free agency to some extent is dead in the NBA. Kevin Pelton made this point in his grading of the deal for ESPN. Like San Antonio would have had $50 million in cap space next summer, but De'Aaron Fox likely would have been the best free agent available. Now, in terms of just like the specific value for the player, obviously complicated by the fact that they got incredibly lucky in the lottery. You know something about that Nick, covering the Dallas Mavericks, and going up and getting Dylan Harper. And the fact that like him, Harper, Castle is just not a particularly good fit. 3 guards, none of whom are excellent shooters. So I question the long-term fit. I question the positional value. We'll talk about it. I'm dubious that De'Aaron Fox is a top 10 point guard in the league. I'm dubious that his game is going to age incredibly well. But I think for the Spurs, it's ultimately fine. And the great thing about having Victor Wembanyama is you have a pretty significant margin for error the next 3 years while he's still on a rookie contract.
Yeah, the point about did the Spurs just agree to this beforehand? Do you think going back, the Spurs would say, all right, but maybe we shouldn't agree on this deal? Or if they knew going into this draft and this lottery, they're going to get Dylan Harper, the question is, would they have made the move for De'Aaron Fox, or would they try to do a different move? And I think that's a question we can't know. That's a question that I would love to know, if they're like, oh man, it'd be great if we could get a really elite wing with this spot, instead of having some redundancy here with Harper, Castle, Fox, even like Vassell still. Like it is an interesting guard group that I'm not really sure what they do with. It's hard for me to say if he's worth the contract or not. Last 5 seasons, 25 points a game, 6 assists, a steal and a half, just 2.7 turnovers. He did have that 60-point game against Minnesota. They lost that game, by the way, but still in overtime. Clutch player of the year in 2023, All-Star, 3rd team All-NBA that year, but hasn't been in either of the last 2 seasons of the All-Star game or All-NBA. And I don't know that he's going to make it for a while. Like, the West is just so stacked with all the different players. It's hard for me to like give a max contract to a deal like this, but I kind of think the Spurs also still had to do it. It's one of those weird things where you're like, oh, what else are you going to do with it? Like you said, you got if you get the cap space, who are you getting that's better than De'Aaron Fox? And you're probably not getting one.
Yeah, and look, I mean, sunk cost fallacy, but you was a good deal for De'Aaron Fox. You still gave up, I think, 3 first-round picks. Like, regardless of if they were your own, it's a bad look to say, all right, we're going to go ahead and try to trade him somewhere else, when Sacramento, like in the same context of him being an expiring contract, clearly could not get a better deal than what San Antonio offered. So they were in a tough position. I still think like it is ultimately going to be a pretty good fit between him and Victor Wembanyama. You have to remember, like, Fox only got to play 17 games for the Spurs before he, I think, broke his finger and was out for the season. Only 5 of those games with Victor Wembanyama. So we really don't know what those two look like as a duo. My main concerns are about how his game ages. Like the jumper is obviously the biggest thing there. You go back to 23-24, he showed flashes of being just a completely different level of a shooter than he'd ever been in his career. 38% from 3, far and away a career high, taking 8 threes a game, which was also far and away a career high. Last season didn't come anywhere close to replicating that in San Antonio. I think he only shot 17% from 3. His rim frequency has been trending downwards the last few years. It was up a little bit in those 17 games on the Spurs. He shot terribly at the rim in those 17 games on the Spurs. Again, small sample size, but it was just 61%. We're talking about a guy, Nick, 3 years ago, he was 77% at the rim. That was the best mark for any point guard in the NBA. Like, this is a guy who's defined by just like 99th percentile quickness, right? You don't get the Swipa nickname for nothing. If that starts going downhill and he doesn't compensate with the 3-pointer, to be fair, he is an elite mid-range player, 48% last season, at least 46% from mid-range on a high volume each of the last 4 seasons. But that's not an area you really want to live unless you're Chris Paul or Kevin Durant, just one of those unique talents. So I have questions about the fit, and I'm curious how his game ages. Like, I think worst case scenario, he's still an average point guard 2, 3, 4 years down the line. You just don't want to be allocating that type of money to a mediocre point guard potentially when he's entering his age 31 or 32 season.
I think Swipo from Locked On Nuggets got the nickname Swipo without doing anything. So I think
he has elite podcasting speed, man. He gets them out.
True. The pull-up jumper, the tagging at the rim. I wonder if some of the rim finishing numbers are better with Wemby spacing the floor.
For sure.
That's something I think with this team that he can improve on, that he can see a new way that the offense is set up and all that. I think that leaving Sacramento does some wonders for your team. He had Sabonis like clogging the paint there for a little while because he's an incredible rebounder, and that's where they had him. I wonder if that geometry of the court changes a lot with Wemby. I mean, last year, pull-up jumper wise, he took like 8 a game, shot over 40% on those, which doesn't sound that great, but he shot better than Curry, Anthony Edwards, Luka, Tatum, Harden. Like, some of these, he's taking really tough shots. He's hitting a bunch of these pull-ups. He is a scorer that gives him something in that mid-range area. And I think that's something that's big for him. The 3-point shooting does have to improve. If you're talking about this Spurs team as a potential like finals team, if that's the direction we're going in the next couple of years, then I think he would have to improve in that area. And that's something that I think the Spurs need to look at and like, all right, can De'Aaron Fox take us to that level? And if not, then where are we going with this? Coming up, let's talk about, is he a top 10 guard? Top 10 point guard? I don't know about either of those. And is that worth the max? I've got questions to talk about that on Locked On NBA Game Night continues coming up. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. I don't know about you, but when I hit the links, the golfing, I get the golf clubs out. I don't do this. Don't tell 5 Hour Energy I don't golf. But I need a little bit of an extra shot of energy going into the back nine. You're going through, you're like, all right, I need some extra juice in my swing, and 5-Hour Energy can help you get that. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot, whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends. This is a hole-in-one for your energy game. And give you a boost when you need it. You can do subscriptions too, which is fun, and get a bunch of those. You can try all the different kinds of flavors. Golf is all about good times, good people, and good flavors. And of course, the grape ginger lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the beverage cart. So use this offer. It's 5hourenergy.com, the number 5hourenergy.com. And you can use the promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your first order. 20% off your order. They don't even say first. I feel like you use them. This offer is valid until September 30th on one order. It cannot be used with another promotion. This code is not good on subscription orders as well. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion flavored 5-Hour Energy shots today. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA Game Night. No games, but through the season, we got tons of games. We do have shows still going on. Locked On Knicks, link in the description. Locked On Mavs, link in the description as well. You can check out Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia, and he'll be talking about about this Wemby stuff. Has an instant reaction up already as we're recording this, so go check that out. We're talking about De'Aaron Fox, and you posed a question to me when we were talking about this topic. Is he a top 10 guard? Like, is he a top 10 lead guard, point guard, whatever we want to classify these guys as right now? Because if you're giving somebody the max, you would assume that they would be top 10 at their position potentially, right? And I started to go through it, and you've got top 10 like guard, lead guards, whatever you want to call these. Like, what do I count Donovan Mitchell? He's got the ball in his hands a lot. He's probably like an off-ball guard. He's got Darius Garland there, but I don't know. Luka, SGA, Curry, Haliburton, Donovan Mitchell, Jalen Brunson, Cade Cunningham. I think we'd all agree that those guys are better than De'Aaron Fox as of right now.
Yeah, I have the same. I have Jalen Brunson a little higher. I'm biased, but yeah, but same list, sure.
Maybe not necessarily in order, but just
sure.
Just,
I agree
just,
that's about that. That is probably that is actually exactly my like top 6 or 7 too. So I'm with you.
Then what do you do with Harden, who's just made All NBA? Like, still a really good guard. Darius Garland, Devin Booker, Trae Young, John Morant, Kyrie, Maxey, Jamal Murray. Like, now I'm probably falling off for sure. But which ones of those did you look at and say, all right, I think you're better than De'Aaron Fox right now?
Almost all of them. I have him. I don't know if you mentioned him. I have him behind Trae, Jamal Murray. I really like Tyrese Maxey. That might not be justified, but I just think he's a very similar player to De'Aaron Fox, but clearly a better shooter. So that's the separator to me. Kyrie coming off an ACL, I think is a good debate. We've just seen him do it in high-level playoff games over the years in a way we have with Fox. So at least for next season, I might lean Kyrie. Totally fair if you want to take De'Aaron Fox over him. And then I had Fox slightly ahead of Garland, Morant, LaMelo Ball. I didn't even have James Harden down as a point guard on my list. I would probably take Fox over Harden, given some of the playoff issues. As a regular season player, I think Harden is probably better still.
I think I would take Harden after the year he just had, even with the playoff. Like, we've only seen one playoff series with Fox, right? Like,
he was good. He was really
Sacramento.
good.
I mean, we've only seen one, so I don't know. It's interesting to me. I think all the guys above him are worth a max contract. I think that you named. Was there one that you named above Fox that you're like, I don't know if that guy would be worth a max?
I mean, Kyrie, given the age,
he didn't.
And Harden, given the age.
I mean, he didn't get one. Kyrie just signed in his extension.
Yeah. Other than that, no. I mean, Jamal Murray, maybe some questions just because of like how his game is aging, but he was still, I think, good enough, and it's just such a playoff killer. So no, I don't think so. I think all those guys deserve the max.
I came away from this list a little bit more encouraged in Fox's spot than I think I was going into this list.
I think it's this weird thing, right? Where are you judging the guy relative to the NBA as a whole, or relative to his position in terms of value, where you see there's like this constant scarcity and chasing of wings, and it gets to the idea, like in bigger playoff matchups, in later rounds, like, can you play 3 guards together? And we've seen teams do a version of that, but mostly like teams trend towards like bigger, more defensively sound wings. And that is like exactly the issue that is facing the Spurs. Like, it's not how good is Fox in a vacuum. It's like, how good can he be in the context of you getting all your best players on the court at the same time? And to be clear, I think for next season, Nick, that's not really much of an issue for them. Like they'll probably start Fox and Castle together. If they don't and they want to go a little more veteran, you can easily bring Castle and Harper off the bench. Like I don't think this is a next season issue. I think this is 2, 3, 4 years down the road. If Castle and Harper keep getting better and you're looking at those guys and saying, do they all make sense? Harper is big and projects as a good defender. Castle, I believe, is like 6'6" and is super physical. So there's a world where like if the jumpers continue to improve, like maybe that's like a brilliant 3-man guard unit. I think just where their games are at right now. And it just seems like it's going to be a long road for Castle to be a good 3-point shooter, right? Just 29% last season. It's just hard to imagine them all together. And to me, that is like such a significant part of the context, like where you have to look at like, all right, where does he rank amongst guards?
It's interesting because they're not necessarily a 2 timelines team, but Fox is 27. He's in his prime. He's signing this contract. And then they have all these young guys that are like really, really young, like first, second year of their career in all this. They're not a 2 timelines team, but you do have this. Is Fox just kind of a placeholder for those guys? And maybe that's a good one. But then you look at how the contracts lay out. They're going to have to make a decision here in the next couple of years. Wemby's deal kicks in the year after this Fox extension kicks in. Then Castle's extension could start there. Then Harper's extension the year after that. Those are all within this De'Aaron Fox deal. And so maybe a couple of years from now, they have to make a choice. But for now, they've got all these guys, like you said, and we'll see if they can fit together. What they do have is speed, athleticism. Like they are not missing any of that with these guards.
No, definitely not an issue. And to your point, I'm fascinated. Like even in the worst case scenario, is this, and maybe this is the question that San Antonio ultimately asked themselves, like, is this Fox contract going to be a negative value? And for me, like there would have to be some kind of traumatic injury there when you consider like, I mean, despite the point guard depth in the NBA, like there are still teams that would love to have De'Aaron Fox, like if the Washington Wizards in a couple of years are suddenly getting competitive and just don't have a point guard, like they might be on the market for De'Aaron Fox. They're saying, hey, we'll give you like equal money and we'll throw you some wings and we'll throw you a couple 2nd-round picks. Like to me, like the question these teams always ask is like, could we get off this if we need to? And I lean towards yes. We also don't know the structure of the contract. Like given San Antonio's cap room, it might be descending and like with the cap escalating, it might look a lot better, the version of his contract like 3-4 years in than it does in the first 2 seasons. So I think we still need to know that information. But I would guess part of the premise for San Antonio is they think like barring the absolute worst case scenario, they feel like they can get off this like and it not have it be a deal where like, oh, we have to attach a 1st-round pick or multiple 1st-round picks to move on from De'Aaron Fox in a world where Castle and Harper and Wemby are already like a little sooner than they think.
That's true. That's true. They probably could still get off of it. I just still have a lot of questions about it. I have a lot of questions about them as a duo. Fox and Wemby, like you said, they played 5 games together. They went 2-3. Wins against Atlanta and Washington. Lost against Charlotte, Orlando, Boston. I don't know how much you can even take away from that, except for here are some actions they can look good in together. This is what Fox looks like with some space, and I think that proved to be good. The thing, though, that I think Fox can help with, and maybe one of the reasons why they had to do a deal like this, Wemby on the court last year, plus 2.8 net rating in about 3,000 possessions, which is not great, but definitely you're outscoring the other team. Wemby off the court last year, and without Fox on the court either, minus 7.7. Huge swing, like a massive swing there. 9-point swing in the net rating department when he sits. And I think when Fox is on the court, then when Wemby sits, I think is where they're going to find some value there. They needed somebody else to soak up some minutes and to lead this team when he's off. And that's something I think he's going to bring to this team next year and make them. And one of the reasons why I'm high on this team being a playoff team.
Yeah, they were dramatically better with Chris Paul on the floor. And obviously Fox is not even like the table setter that a 40-year-old Chris Paul is, but like he's a talented playmaker, like 90th percent in assist rate, I think 62nd percentile in assists to usage ratio, like, and just his ability to turn the corner. Like this is a slightly boomer take, but I want to see Victor Wembanyama around the rim a little bit more. Just 27% of his shots last season at the rim. That was 12th percentile among centers. This guy, he's listed at 7'4". It seems like he's actually maybe 7'6". Who might hit 7'7" by the next time we see him. He's training with monks all summer. We don't know. Does that stretch you out? Does that make you shorter? I'm not sure. But I guess he shaved his head, so maybe a little shorter. But like he needs to be at the rim. And Fox's ability to like turn the corner, to bait a big, to step up to him, like with that elite mid-range game, that could generate some lobs for Victor Wembanyama. That could generate some switches for Victor Wembanyama to take advantage of. And like, as much as like the 3-point shooting is exciting, right? Like 36% from 3, super high volume. Like this guy should be unstoppable around the basket, even without putting on that muscle. And if Fox can like help him establish like more consistent time in the most valuable real estate in the game, that could completely transform San Antonio in and of itself.
It could. I'm interested to see what they look like. I started to go through if they're the best duo in the West. Jokic, Murray, Kawhi Harden, AD, Kyrie, SGA, Jalen, Luka, LeBron, KD, and Şengün, or maybe Amen Thompson kind of stood out. And I don't know. Be interesting to see where they stack up next season. Go listen to Locked On Spurs for more on that. Coming up, it's Counted Up, where we count out the most interesting, fun things in the NBA, including Tyrese Haliburton making his heel turn even more and relishing in it against the Knicks. Talk about that and more coming up. Locked On NBA Game Night continues. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by Monarch Money. If you ever wish your managing your money felt easier, Monarch Money is here to help you. There's all kinds of ways that Monarch can help you. They've got ways to track your subscriptions, where you're spending, and it puts all of your cards in one place. If you got all different credit cards because you're trying to figure out all these different points, you got a savings account, checking account, credit cards, all kinds of different things. You can connect all those things. You can also connect like 401k, your savings accounts. You can connect your student loans. You can connect your mortgage, all kinds of different things you can connect on here. And then you can use it as a budgeting app, but it's not just a budgeting app. It's more than that. It's a complete financial command center where you can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth with Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year.
Big chicken, baby.
I think a lot. I'm very smart.
Take that for that.
Count it up, count it up, count it up, count it up, count it up.
It's Counted Up, where we count on the most interesting, fun things in the NBA. Let's start with Tyrese Haliburton. A post on Reddit was very funny to me because it said, Tyrese Haliburton continues to live rent-free in the heads of New Yorkers as he gets booed at MetLife Stadium while being introduced by the PA announcer ahead of WWE's SuperSlam event. My question for you, especially as the host of Locked On Knicks, who's a bigger Knicks heel right now, Trae Young or Tyrese Haliburton?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it should be Tyrese Haliburton. I think it is actually Trae Young, because as much as Knicks fans claim rightfully that like Trae Young brings it up every time he's in MSG, does some kind of like weird celebration every time he's in MSG, you still hear Knicks fans like outside the Garden chanting F Trae Young, like after playoff wins, like the greatest in team history, like over the Boston Celtics. So I think it is a mutual rent-free relationship. It is something maybe New Yorkers would love. Free rent. It's not something we have a lot of over here. But Tyrese Haliburton, he's winding up the ranks. I mean, the choke sign was an all-time moment in MSG. One of the greatest playoff collapses we've ever seen. Like, I don't want to say unlike Trae, but Trae was 5 years ago. It's just a completely different Knicks team. Like, Tyrese is like relevant, recent, like deserved real estate. I've said that word a lot in this podcast. Space in New York Knicks fans' heads. Like he, I think, unlike Trae Young, has earned it. I think Trae, maybe he's a great team next year, so maybe he'll do it. Like, I think he has to renegotiate the lease. You know, he hasn't paid in a while.
He's not in a cost control. He's not in a rent control.
No, he's going to rent court. Yeah.
He's going there. Yeah. Haliburton was the most recent one too. So I think that holds up. There's some recency bias there for sure. But I think they're both embracing it, which I think is, we joke about things being a recession indicator, like a team hiring Mike Brown as their head coach, like bringing him back. This is also like, is this an indicator that the Knicks are back fully, that they have these heels, these guys that like embrace this idea of being a villain for the New York Knicks?
I think so. I do think Knicks fans would argue that they've been hated like the whole time, that they were terrible and irrationally punished at times. But I think the fact that, like, to your point, like this is like a story when Tyrese Haliburton does it. Like, I don't really know, like if he was talking about the Charlotte Hornets, I don't think that's on ESPN in any form or fashion. So it's partially market, but partially the fact that I think in FanDuel odds, the Knicks were second, well behind the Oklahoma City Thunder for title favorites. Like, they're really relevant at this point, partially because Tyrese Haliburton and Jason Tatum are injured, but they're super relevant and they're in a good spot.
The Knicks are back, and it's fun when the Knicks are back for the NBA. Another Reddit post suggested that NBA conference realignment should be north-south instead of east-west. I don't know if you saw this diagram. It put all the teams like above this certain line, like it's not the Mason-Dixon line. There's a line, and it puts like Denver, Cleveland, Minnesota, the Knicks, the Warriors, the Pistons, the Celtics, all in the same conference. It did put the Pacers and Wizards in the South, which I find interesting. Pacers is a little bit high there, but to even it out, it's like all the teams south of this line. My question is for you. Do you feel better or worse about your team's chances in a North-South conference?
I have not gone over this in depth enough to give you a well thought out answer. So I can only say worse because I mean, what is better than living in the Eastern Conference right now? Celtics, over. Sorry, too many injuries. Had to trade away everyone.
Wow.
At least for next year. Indiana Pacers lost Miles Turner inexplicably. No Tyrese Haliburton next year. They're done. The Cavs really good. Haven't done anything in the playoffs. The Milwaukee Bucks, I don't really see them as a threat. Orlando, Detroit should be really good. Still very young. Haven't totally proven anything. Similar with the Atlanta Hawks. Like there is just like it is probably like one. I thought 10 years ago was the apex of this, but we're looking at like one of the weaker Eastern conferences. I don't even want to say that because there are like a lot of competent franchises and there are a lot of intriguing teams, but in terms of top end talent, like this is just one of the weaker Eastern conferences in recent memory, maybe short of like those LeBron years where the Cavs could just kind of moonwalk into the final season after season, while the West is just like, I'll let you speak on this, it's just incredibly loaded. So until further research, I am not going away from this current system if I am an Eastern Conference team.
The Mavs would all of a sudden bring in Charlotte, Indiana, the Wizards, the Miami Heat, the Atlanta Hawks into their conference, but they still have the Thunder, the Rockets, both the LA teams, the Spurs, the Grizzlies are still in there. I don't know if it made me feel better, but I did find it funny. There are obvious reasons to not go north-south though in the NBA. If we want to talk about them. The Minnesota Timberwolves have been to the West Finals in each of the last 2 years. They had only made it out of the first round one time in their previous 35 seasons before that. When do we start talking about Anthony Edwards as the best Timberwolf of all time?
He has to, like, if you want that done in the next 2 years, I think would almost take winning a title. Like Kevin Garnett just bled for that franchise in a way you don't really see modern superstars bleed. Like most would have left. They didn't really do him any favors in terms of the talent they surrounded him with. Like it was Stephon Marbury, he bailed, and then it was until 2004 until they really put a team around him. And Anthony Edwards has been incredible. The success they've had has been incredible. But like I don't think you can underestimate like the job Tim Connolly has done and the infrastructure they built, where they are like 10 deep every year, and they like guy after guy, like Naz Reid, Jaden McDaniels, like they keep nailing draft picks, they keep nailing transactions. Like Rudy Gobert, who everyone, myself included, ripped them for. Like he's been fantastic. Like he's been a staple. He's taken them up a level. Julius Randle like had the best postseason run by far of his career. So I think Anthony Edwards has just had substantially more help. Would I say at the end of his career he's going to be there? I think so, but I think that's also partially because he's just in an infinitely better situation than Garnett was ever in.
For sure. I just think it's fascinating that Garnett and all the great things that he did and how many, he won an MVP there, which is massive. He had, I think 8 times he made all NBA in his 14 years with the Timberwolves, but Anthony Edwards has already led them to more playoff success than Garnett did his entire 14 years there, like double the amount of playoff success. It's wild to me when I looked at those numbers. I agree with you. We're not close to that conversation that Anthony Edwards is better, but he already has more playoff success, which is just like an insane thing to me to think about.
I think he might be the franchise leader in threes made already, which is he's 23 years old, which is insane. But
he probably did it in a season and a half. He probably did it already. Absolutely wild. Go listen to Locked On Timberwolves. Ben Beacon doing great stuff there all the time. The NBA Europe seems to be gaining some traction. We had the post of LeBron James with Jokic's agent and Rich Paul and Maverick Carter doing all kinds of stuff over there. My question for you, do you have any interest in NBA Europe as a league? Would you like adopt a team? Would you be interested in following any kind of NBA Europe action?
I think I could talk myself into it, especially if they somehow made the season run, not whatever the opposite of concurrent is to the NBA season. Opposite,
perpendicular. I don't know.
Yeah, there we go. Neither of us were great at math, apparently, but if it was during the summer, I can always get into hoops. Like we were talking about covering, I know some Euro Cup games on this podcast eventually. I can always get into more professional hoops. It was the same time as the NBA season. I think I feel slightly overwhelmed during the NBA season, just being like, I haven't really watched the Hornets this year. I should probably sit down and watch a Hornets game. But you have it in the summer. I get into it.
It'll be interesting. I'm curious to see how they align it, what they decide to do with it. How does it work with EuroLeague or against EuroLeague? Like, does it try and compete against that too? It's a wild concept, but I found it interesting. I don't think I think I would follow it. I think I would try to, because there'd be probably a bunch of college people, of college guys that we would know that would go over there and try it, or some former NBA players that just can't make it in the league but end up going over there. It'll be interesting, but we'll see what they do with it. Go check out Locked On Knicks, Locked On Mavs. Make your second listen today. Locked On NBA Daily. Matt, Hayes, and Doug doing great stuff there all the time on this feed, wherever you're listening and watching this. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On NBA Game Night. Boom.